What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Specifically, we're going to talk about what could be the catalyst that could bring Bitcoin to new all-time highs and potentially when that could be. We're also going to take a look at three important levels, the only three levels that you should be focusing in on and why. And we're going to talk about what could change the current momentum and what type of follow through we could and should expect. And we're going to do all that right now together. As we get started, I ask you to please go ahead and smash that like button below in the description. You can find a link to my Twitter, and make sure you do go ahead and subscribe to the channel here. Right now, we're looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been under pressure here ever since November. We've been looking at the possible and potential changing of the structure of the Bitcoin bull market. Perhaps a lot of indicators are pointing to the technical top in April, even though price made a higher high in November. And what we've been seeing is this drastically long consolidation that is taking place. We're going to start off looking at what has happened, the current state of the market. We're going to step back for 1 second and look at what has transpired over Bitcoin over the last year or so in order to get a better understanding of the dynamics at play right now. And we're all familiar with, coming out of the end of 2020, that Bitcoin coming off those $10,000 consolidation, breaking out into the bull market, Bitcoin came up towards $60,000 in about 4 months. A lot of the buying, a lot of people who have entered the Bitcoin market in 2021, they did so at levels between $40,000 and $65,000. That is also where Bitcoin over the last 12 months has spent the majority of its time. The vast majority of this time over this past year has been spent with Bitcoin trading above $40,000, and that's where a lot of the accumulation has taken place. What that means right now with Bitcoin trading below that box, outside that box, that you're looking at a large portion of these long-term hodlers now trading, now holding positions that are at a loss. Almost 18% of them right now, 18% of the people are holding Bitcoin at a loss. For a little bit of perspective, back in March 2020, as Bitcoin traded off all the way down towards $3,800 during the dollar liquidity crisis, you saw 35% of the people holding Bitcoin at a loss, long-term hodlers. For unrealized losses, for paper losses to match those levels seen in March 2020, Bitcoin would need to go sub $20,000. Is that possible? All right, let's focus in on the technicals. Remember, at the end of the day, price is everything, and price is in everything. Right now, Bitcoin in that downtrend ever since that $69,000 high in November. The first sign that potentially we're getting ready for any type of relief rally. And in the beginning, it will be nothing more than a relief rally. The potential exists for it to be sold into. As we get higher, as price goes higher, we could look at what those potentials levels are. Right now, let's look at the three most important levels before you. The first one that we're seeing any signs of recovery is going to be a break above this trend line. That's currently coming in somewhere. I love you with all my heart. That's currently coming in somewhere around $40,000, right? That's not static. That's moving. As price continues moving out and below, that price will change, and then we're waiting for price to break above. That's the first thing that we need to see here in order to see if buyers are going to be there and for some momentum to be able to kick in. Now, a break above there, and do not get comfortable. We are currently in a downtrend. Often you'll see any type of relief rally sold into. I want to show you where some important resistance above this resistance is. And to do that, we could just go back to that April 2021 high. And then we have this high over here that occurred in September. I'm connecting those 2 points, and then I'm continuing to extend that out. And then you can see the rest of the touches, right? Why that line is so important. You see in this area in December, price was finding that as support until it finally broke through. After price broke through that support, it then tested it as resistance, not once, but twice. Obviously, it's a very critical line that the market is paying attention to. And in order to have further confirmation that price has the possibility to extend to the upper part of that range. Look where that's coming in right now, by the way. It's coming in somewhere around $43,000. These are two important levels that price has to work above before buyers actually have momentum and the chance to go ahead and press bears and to start getting a lot of bears, people that are sellers of the market right now, to get them holding positions that are at a loss and then covering those positions, further extending the possibility of taking this higher. On the downside right now, you are in a downtrend. It is a clear downtrend. It is a persistent downtrend. And often you're seeing any type of bounce being sold and sold very quickly. It's very easy to line up what you're watching right now, right? If you see a break of this trend line to the downside, then we are looking at a further extension to the downside. And then I'm going to jump over to a linear chart really quick. I want to point out one more level. I know I told you three, but there's four that you should be paying attention to. And the fourth one may be the most important of them all. I'm going to jump over to a linear scale just so you can see very quickly. I want you to focus on this trend line. CTM Hive Mind, Wes pointing out to us that this trend line connecting the April and November all-time highs on Bitcoin. If you go ahead and you just clone this line, right? If you make an exact clone of it and then you bring it down, right? I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to touch in the summer where price was finding that low. Not only did it touch it there in the summer, you could see that where we just broke down to at last week, that is where price wound up finding support. Very important to see the structure of the market over here. It's very important because if we come down and we break below there, please, the odds are we're going to see some further selling. We're going to see some further extension. That could take us pretty quickly towards those July 2021 lows. And whether or not if buyers are able to put up any type of fight there or ultimately lower, nobody really knows. Nobody really knows. Right now, it seems that the equities are trying their best to put in some type of near-term bottom. That might also occur here on Bitcoin as well. You have your levels to watch. You have the immediate trend line before you. Any break of that, and then all of a sudden sellers are once again back in control. The first opportunity for buyers to have any type of an extension of this rally is going to be a break of this trend line to the upside. And then again, as soon as that occurs, you got overhead resistance just a couple of or a few $1,000s away. That's the line to really pay attention to. Getting above this trend line over here. At that point, momentum is definitely once again favoring the buyers. On the downside, you want to watch closely this line of support coming in somewhere around $33,000 right now. We'll be watching it daily together. Watch if you see a break outside of this channel. This channel we've been in for over a year. We talked about it, looking at and viewing it this way, but it's not horizontal. It's an upward sloping channel. Would be an important breakdown. I want everyone to be aware ahead of time. And lastly, I want to talk about that catalyst that could bring Bitcoin back to new all-time highs. It's an important one. I think that it's one that might not be stressed enough right now, and it is inflows. Where are those inflows going to come from? Where are those from? The equity markets? Right now, you are seeing a lot of people who are really focused in on the equity markets becoming attracted to Bitcoin. Right? We've been talking about this over the past few weeks. If we saw any type of break in correlation between the stock market and Bitcoin, and they are highly correlated at this particular time, they are very highly correlated. If we see any type of disorderly moves in the equity markets, at that point in time, Bitcoin will become even more tightly correlated, as you saw back in February, March of 2020. Right? Good news there is that if that is to occur, the Fed's going to be pivoting a lot sooner. That's not on the table right now. That's not happening right now. We might actually be moving towards some type of relief rally in the equity markets, and Bitcoin surely will be going with it. Now, you have your levels. You have the overhead resistance from this downward sloping trend line, and then this solid trend line over here as well, coming in right now around $43,000. You know that you need to clear above both of those levels before having any type of a sustained rally. Bears in control right now. You also understand what it looks like to the downside for bears to go ahead and retest these current lows that we just put in last week, and ultimately and potentially even take out the summer lows. all of that's on the table, and I have to say all of that would be extremely positive. I root for everyone in the space. There's no question about that. But if we see a little bit of this, of these people that are holding right now, they've accumulated in this range. And then if they are able to, if price goes ahead and squeezes them out, we've seen a lot of bottoms occur in Bitcoin under those exact circumstances. This is why you need to always understand what your risk is, how to manage it. You cannot get yourself in a position where you are uncomfortable at any time. And right now, I am a proponent, as momentum is not on our side, of actually continuing to build up a cash position, to put yourself into a position of power so that regardless of what happens, if momentum shifts to the upside, you could deploy that capital at a more comfortable spot. Or if we see further pressure to the downside, you're feeling more comfortable as that occurs. And not only that, when we do have some type of rebound, of technical break to the upside, wherever that might be, you'll be able to go ahead at that particular point and have a lower cost basis. That all being said, right now, this is the headlines a lot of people are seeing. Stock market is having one of the worst starts to a year. We are seeing people really disenchanted with the equity markets. I've been mentioning this is one particular area, the equity markets. If we start seeing inflows into Bitcoin, it could have dramatic consequences on Bitcoin. We're seeing signs of that. Let me point out two big signs. All right, we've seen this guy. I'm never buying Bitcoin. David, right? David Portney. And then all of a sudden last night, you see David, 29 Bitcoin, buying $1 million. Bitcoin, $37,000. Welcome back. Dave, he's not the only one. Sven Hendricks, big equity guy, understands what's going on with the macro, with the Federal Reserve extremely well. If you're not following Sven on Twitter, he's a great follow. Sven Hendricks, former bear. I've always said, is Sven would ever be able to understand that the markets might be correcting, but they're not crashing. And when they are crashing, get on top of that, but provide his time and talents, his intellect towards the most important trade that matters, it would be incredibly bullish. Sven's following, he's got a big following on Twitter. They're all equity markets based. Sven has pivoted now after his talk with Michael Saylor, after doing his own research, after the influence of his wife, and he's become a big Bitcoin bull. He's taking positions into Bitcoin. He understands the bullish case for Bitcoin. Just think about all the people that are equity markets based that influences. Same thing with Dave. He's got a big following as well. This following tends to be equity market based. As they're seeing, these are just two examples. By the way, this example of Sven, this example of Dave, this is coming after we've been talking about potentially seeing a large portion of funds that are in the equity markets moving over towards Bitcoin. You're starting to see those dominoes fall as well. So you're seeing dominoes fall on the sovereign level. You're seeing it fall on the institutional level. And here you're seeing the foundation of it to be also taking place on a retail level as well. I think this is going to be one of the largest catalysts that enter into the market in 2022. Let's make sure that we do pay close attention, not only to the larger developments taking place in the space. The bullish case for Bitcoin has never been stronger, but most importantly, what's happening in front of us. That's why we do and put in the work we do each and every day, doing our best to stay on the right side of the most important trade that matters. The one thing I did not share with you, probably the most important thing, if you made it to the end of the video and you have not yet smashed the like button, please do that. Leave a comment below. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.